Okay, Big Boy wasn't planning on doing that. Shocktails wasn't gonna do nothing. Let me give you a little refresher, numbnuts. Those humpback wheels over there, yeah, they roll with us. And we look out for our own out here, okay? We take care of our people. So if you mess with them, you mess with us. And let me tell you something, pal. You don't want to mess with us. Because you might be thinking you're a real tough guy, apex predator and all, but you're nothing to me but a quick bite. You get me? All you're good for is your delicious liver. Your delicious, nutrient-dense liver. Your nutritious, high-caloric liver. So if I were in your fins, I'd scram before the real boss in town makes a mukbang out of your organs. Do I make myself clear? Yeah, I'm out of here. No problem. Okay. No problem at all, boys. Yeah, thought so. Yeah, I'll show you 47 meters down, bozo. Bright white, more like scaredy white. All right, let's go find a yacht to fuck up. Zep.
I have prepared everything.
You're prepared? Are you?
So, do you want me to read the article?
What's the other option?
I was planning for us to watch video from, pre-Gamergate or during Gamergate. Tropes versus women in video games that Anita Sarkeesian was presenting about character seductors.
Okay. How long is the video?
Either 11 or 18 seconds, somewhere in between. I think like 13.
13 minutes? Let's knock that out then.
You became suddenly very quiet.
Yeah, if it's only like 13 seconds, let's do that.
Let's please spell her surname correctly.
What is that? What is I am tiggered, okay? I'm a tiggered pufferfish. Charging up.
Rami, you need to control your emotions. Take a deep breath. In and out. In.
Sorry, instructions are unclear.
Oh god, he's doing too much in. He's gonna explode.
Nah, he's built stuff.
Okay, I started getting the appeal of puffer fish because of fish. Which sounds amazing.
I mean, it's part of my brainwashing campaign, Gotta make sure everyone's into pufferfish.
They are cute and pretty. I agree.
This yoga session? Nice one. It's supposed to be meditation, okay? We don't do yoga around here.
Okay. Let's get to reading. Can you help us? Which one?
This is in English?
Yes, it's called German. It's a language.
Yeah.
There are lost ways to go with the discussion now.
English.
Green button. Okay. It's auto-translated, and I checked out the translation. It's good. It even sounds good. It doesn't sound like ChatGPT speak. The kings of losers. Incels create a world where they can only lose. The result? No women ever. We met them. In the saddest place on the internet. And in real life. A report by Philip Daum, I suppose. Oh, when did they update it? I was just wondering if they changed anything since I told them about message Philip about some typos. Anyway.
Or if you, yeah.
Rejection. The boy was new to school, a shy teenager who went hiking alone and was interested in anime. He had the phone numbers of 2 classmates to discuss homework with, but otherwise he had no friends. One day a girl asked him in front of the whole class if he wanted to do something together. He immediately became suspicious. He thought, if I say yes, everyone will laugh. Later it turned out that the girl had lost a bet. He said no. The class laughed anyway. I have a question. Does this really happen to people? This is some... Oh?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought it was only, American comedies. Okay, the boy is now a man, 29 years old, and he says he hasn't forgotten that story with the girl. I'll call him Sprinkles in this text. That's his Reddit username. Nobody in his offline life knows he's an incel, and he intends to keep it that way. Sprinkles still remembers the first time he encountered the term incel on the internet and thought, I hope that doesn't describe me, and how slowly and painfully the realization dawned. Yes, this does describe me. Do I pronounce it correctly? I think I say it when the words in Russian and in English look too similar, I get gravitated too much towards the Russian spelling sound. Anyway.
There you go.
Incel stands for involuntarily celibate. These are men who can't find a woman and believe they never will. And because they are too ugly, too shy, not lovable, and because they believe that women today have far too high standards. In the past, men hid their virginity. The internet has forged this into a collective identity. Research your family's Nazi's past here. Incels wear something shameful about them with apparent self-assurance. They gather in internet forums, on Discord servers, and on Reddit. They use usernames like Subhuman DNA or Invisible Beta. You scroll through a few forums and join a couple of Discord servers, and suddenly someone is celebrating Adolf Hitler's birthday. Someone else posts a video of women being beaten. The incels do their best to offend us, the normies, as they call us. This is a good point, but he doesn't go into detail with it. But the world created by incels also holds unexpected places. There are essays and philosophical treatises and forums where incels respectfully philosophize with feminists. Debate incels mentioned, without naming it though. The word of
no.
incels, as the American journalist Nama Cates once said, is complex, eloquent, hilarious, offensive, and deeply heartbreaking. When I was a teenager, I let my hair grow past my shoulders. I listened to sad music and played the dark eye with my other long-haired friends. We sat at large tables creating dwarf, warriors, and elven mages over weeks of planning and rolling our 20-sided dice to resolve complicated battles. The Dark Eye is the German version of Dungeons and Dragons, about which musician Marilyn Monroe once wrote, "If every cigarette shortens your lifespan by 7 minutes, then every game of Dungeons and Dragons delays the loss of your virginity by 7 hours." We played every weekend, sometimes 3 games spread over 2 days. My friend got with her boyfriend, who they started living together with. She literally moved from her city to Moscow to live with him. They got together because they were in the same Dungeons and Dragons party online. So there's that.
Yeah.
What exactly distinguished the incels and me? At which crossroads in life did we take different turns? The revelation of Face and LMS. Question. Do you guys know about this Face and LMS?
Don't know what?
He is an OG. Yeah. Okay. I definitely didn't watch the video it is about. Should we watch it sometime?
Yeah, I didn't watch it either.
Okay. Watch later. A YouTube video appears that changed the internet forever, and most people haven't a clue about it. At least that's what one comment under the video says. A British incel produced the video. His channel is called Face and LMS. In the video, he poses as an attractive man named Carl on the dating platform Plenty of Fish. He uses a photo of a male model. With this experiment, he wants to refute what well-meaning society tells shy young men, and what my mother always told me. Women like someone who is friendly and confident, someone with a good character. Carl is quickly inundated with requests. He chats with many women simultaneously, making a point of doing everything wrong. He writes that he's on antidepressants, terribly insecure, and also broke. He's extremely unfriendly, occasionally even racist. Chin Chong Chong, do you want to bang? Bars. And yet he's successful. The lesson seems clear. Women may pretend their inner qualities are important to them, but in reality, attractiveness is everything.
Yeah, that's
a question. Is this paragraph what the reporter thinks?
I think at the end.
I want Rami to answer too. Rami, if you are there, like it's an audio board, do you think this is what the reporter thinks? The journalist, Philip?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a story someone made up. You said it's from the same video that you told that was about OG, but what I'm asking is the lesson is clear. Women may pretend that inner qualities are important to them, but in reality, attractiveness is everything. Whose point of view is that? I know but I know about Face, but I never saw his video. Okay, but the question is, this sentence, whose point of view is that?
Oh,
Hmm?
you got up.
Room.
Welcome back.
Oh, you can't hear me again.
Alright, we're going to swim in the school, guys. So, you gotta first take the left and move it to the back, and then take the right one. Okay.
Okay, at what point did you stop hearing me? How long ago was that?
The last sentence that you're trying to get Rami's opinion on.
Yes, Rami, this sentence. Who's speaking? Whose point of view is that? The lesson seems clear. Women may pretend that inner qualities are important to them, but in reality, attractiveness is everything.
It is. Here's.
Yes, we got it. It's Face's view. Just checking in. When I was in my third year of university, and I remind you, my major was literature. My classmate, who is actually she's smart, but when we were reading, I think, Gulliver, she mistook the main character's viewpoint for the author's, and it was very surprising to me. Like, third year, and she's not stupid by any means. Okay, so at the end of the video, Face and LMS reveals what makes a male face attractive. With drawn lines, angles, and squares, they illustrate that ideal proportion of various facial features. These include a short philtrum, the groove between the nose and upper lip, hunter eyes, a high facial width to height ratio. A higher value is considered attractive. A defined maxilla, upper jaw, a defined mandible, lower jaw, a defined chin, and a body fat percentage between 10 and 12%. Under the video, someone enthusiastically wrote, "The true godfather of the black pill." The black pill is the ideological core of the incel movement. In short, it means forget status, money, or self-confidence. Attractiveness is everything. And for those who aren't attractive enough, the search for a partner is over. The metaphor is an allusion to the film The Matrix, in which the protagonist Neo is given the choice between a blue pill and a red pill. If he chooses the blue pill, he continues his life, trusting, naive, and in a false sense of security. If he chooses the red pill, he faces the harsh, brutal truth. And the black is the incel pill, because black is the color of hopelessness. Fate and one's own bone structure cannot be changed, or can they? Okay, you have comments? Yeah, okay. Do you want me to pause after whenever paragraph I want to pause? Like, I will not be breaking in between paragraphs? Or do you want to like go smoothly with this and not get distracted by my endless thought flow? You. Yeah, sorry, I was changing the title. I realized I had a misleading one. Did you know that incel is a name that is banned from titles on Twitch? Anyway, I did not know. Okay. Incels isn't banned. I can't say the word though, right? I just can't use it in the title. For the reference, the article is quite long. Okay. The first person to tell me about the black pill was Lewis, I assume. Lewis, 23 years old, was the first incel I ever spoke to. I'd met him on the Reddit subforums Debate Incels. We conducted the interview via video chat. He lives in Southern California at his parents' house. The sun was shining in, and a cat was wandering around the room. Lewis was one of the few incels who showed me his face. Most turned their cameras off. He had delicate, slightly feminine features and long, wavy hair. He looked a bit like a young Keanu Reeves if he had Central American parents. Much better than I'd imagine my first incel to be. He told me he grew up in a working-class family. His mother was from Mexico. Sorry. His father from El Salvador. I love my mother very much, he said. I love my sister very much. I don't hold any grudges against women. Like many incels I would later speak to, Lewis didn't strike me as hateful at all. He seemed rather resigned. He said he had been an overweight, insecure child. At school, he was often teased about his appearance. As a teenager, during the pandemic, he discovered the Face and LMS YouTube channel. He was fascinated by its clarity and logic. He told me, it gave me a framework to understand how dating and life in general worked. He couldn't grasp the well-meaning advice from those around him. Get out there and socialize. Talk to a girl if you like her. I need numbers, he said. I need logic. Lewis said he'd spent a lot of time on looksmax.org, a forum where men rate each other's looks. He was classified as high-low tier normie. This is probably due to translation, whatever. Which was a pleasant surprise. However, he also learned that his philtrum was too long. He had a receding chin, and his upper incisors covered his lower ones too much. Incels essentially see only two ways to react to the findings of the black pill. Either they accept that as an unattractive or very average-looking man, they have little chance and give up all hope, or they try to change their appearance. Lewis chose option 2. He maxed out his looks. He lost weight. He bought products to combat hair loss. He bleached his skin. On the one hand, I couldn't believe I was doing this to myself, he said, but I knew it could make me look better. At this point in his life, the soft approach was over. The possibilities of changing his appearance without surgery had been exhausted. Now it was time for the hard approach. Lewis had a whole list of planned operations. Several jaw surgeries, a hair transplant, a nose job, fat transfer, and ear correction. And then I'll start looking for a partner. So Lewis did what many women have been doing for a long time. He looked relentlessly at his appearance. Why did Lewis think he was so terribly unattractive? I was 15 years older than Lewis, and I grew up in a time where beauty ideals, while harsh for girls, were much less oppressive for boys. None of the boys in my class went to the gym. I wasn't on any social media that bombarded me with images of six-pack abs every day. Back then, you couldn't just get your jawline injected with acid during your lunch break. Hyaluronic acid during your lunch break. I was like Lewis. I was insecure. I didn't think I was beautiful, but I wasn't reminded daily how much more handsome other men were. Okay, end of this chapter, we can talk. Fernan, probably high tier normie. Yeah. Bro didn't grow up in the time of K-pop. Am I allowed to share my thoughts now? Before we move to the research part. It's my party and I yap if I want to. You know, the way he describes it, delicate, slightly feminine features and long wavy hair. Long wavy hair. He looked a bit like a young Keanu Reeves if he'd had Central American parents. This is such a beautiful description, like it made me want to look at him. Also, much better than I'd imagined my first incel to be. So real, like... Gushing. I think I reached out to this guy, but it makes sense why he never followed through with an interview. Oh, he already got the Latino rep unit. I think he just already got enough representation with adequate normal people. Like at some point when I asked him how the interview was going, the article, he said he was looking for more hardcore incels. I'm not sure who he reached out to. I think I did, gave him a number of pointings. I have a very Russian h sound, right? Him. Is it better? Him. God. With every year past the university, my accent gets worse. And it wasn't great to begin with. Anyway, I wanted to look at this. I need numbers. I need logic. This is very descriptive, and if you look at clavicular and think about how it connects to autism, I think it kind of all makes sense, right? First of all, it's the comfort of not having chaos, like hard numbers. You don't need to guess anything with numbers. You are being told what to do, what you can improve. And this is why clavicular became clavicular. He had an obviously unstable, neglectful house, autism diagnosis. He got hyper-focused on this looks marks and stuff, and this got him. Clavicular, despite being a slut, let's say it, is actually a very good representation of, what would be if incels were successful in the way they see it. I heard his parents were competitive bodybuilders, so I can see the pressure he felt. Absolutely, yes. I think being autistic is one of the most agreed upon traits of lifelong datelessness for all pills. Statistics show it pretty consistently, even more than face and height, based on the research I've looked at. Interesting. Yeah, we have East who is tall but autistic, but he is very prone to meltdowns. This is like, the problem isn't autism itself. It is thirst that people with autism do not get raised in, compatible with their diagnosis. And the way we raise children is already horrible. Add autism to the mix, add any neurodivergency to the mix, it becomes very traumatic. And then, on the other hand, the society does not know how to work, how to interact with autistic people, neurodivergent people. I also do not get a lot of social cues. When I was in school, my friend, I think 3-5 years after graduating school, I talked to my friend and I was like, I finally noticed that I'm actually good looking. I did not know about that. And I'm like, it's very interesting how I did not know that I looked good, but I knew about the guys who had crushes on me. And she's like, yeah, because I told you. She was my social cues. She was the one to tell me what's happening, what people feel. I am a boyo around her. So, can I flex? This is 2000. So about 20 years of friendship. This is the extrovert who picked me up. Hey. Bone digestion. Never had friends like that. Always was told I was ugly. Yeah, also, why are the schools so easy on bullying? I do not understand. They all just let it happen. Teachers never get involved. And it's not a local problem. I think adults as a group do not do enough to defend children. Schools in the 90s, America and Puerto Rico are brutal. 1 second. You keep talking and I will get myself some water. My water bottle is 2 liters. Okay. You can hear me, right? Just checking. I can go on with the sexual harassment I received from some female classmates, but that's for another time. I mean, I think I've told you about how I was constantly harassed, right? You know, there's this problem with people with unmanaged autism that parents do not give a fuck about when it's more severe than casual autism. We have competitive autism, like when people are turning a little bit, crossing into a little bit or a lot of creep territory. Like for me, my classmate was bullied. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Leave him alone. I helped him. Bam. A little bit of unhealthy obsession was formed. I think he tried to kiss me. I was like, oh my, that's weird. So I pushed him away, and since I got weirded out, I was staying clear of him. And this was in the 4th grade. In the 7th grade, during a math lesson, he was sitting behind me, or he just came up and cut off a lot of my hair with scissors. Like, I think about the length of a palm, and I was a very, you see, as a person who would go to stand up for others, I would also fight people sometimes, a little. So I got up, went up to him and kicked him in the leg or something twice, I think, something like that. I was brutal in school. Anyway, enough of violence. Let's talk about incels who are less violent than I was in school. Ass. Sorry. I feel like I trapped you in the genjutsu of my school memories. Sorry for that. For a long time, incels were discussed in public and academic circles, but not with them. That changed a few years ago. Andrew Thomas, an evolutionary psychologist from Swansea University in Wales, was one of the first researchers to gain access to them. Up until then, researchers had primarily analyzed incel forums. When I spoke with Thomas, he said that this approach only showed the tip of the iceberg. A large proportion of the forum posts came from a few super users. If you only looked at these posts, You didn't really understand what was going on in the minds of most incels, but only what their most extreme representatives wrote. Thomas interviewed 561 men from the United States and the United Kingdom for his study. He found that the incels were quite diverse. Some came from the working class, some from the middle class. Almost half of the respondents identified as people of color: Latino, Black, American, or Arab. Politically, they placed themselves slightly left of center. They supported LGBTQ plus equality and favored a well-funded welfare state. They were similar on one point. The vast majority of incels rejected feminism, and many downplayed the seriousness of rape. Rami. How dangerous are incels? Thomas says the greatest danger lies in the digital realm. Some incels harass women, sending them hate emails or comments on social media, but most are so inhibited that they would hardly ever become violent in real life. Deserts of love. There are exceptions. Incels have produced terrorists. The most notorious of them was Elliot Rodger. In 2013, Rodger killed 6 people in Santa Barbara, California, and left behind a manifesto in which he complained that he was still a virgin at the age of 22. He wrote, "I will punish all women for depriving me of sex," as if women owed men sex. It's the age-old pattern. A man approaches a woman, is rejected, and feels shame and pain, and he transforms that hurt into hatred of women. Most incels, however, Thomas said, are internalizers. They develop intense self-hatred. Terrorists make up a vanishingly small part of the community. Sex offenders are also usually not incels. Many studies show that it is the most sexually successful men who commit the majority of sexual assaults, Thomas said. Then Thomas talked about the suicides. The incels who participated in his survey were often deeply unhappy. 40% of them reached the clinical threshold for depression in questionnaires. 1/5 had recently been thinking about suicide daily. End of the chapter. I wonder what incel tears will think about. Today I looked on my phone if I can ban incel tears as a word from this server, because I just don't understand why would we think about it. You do not pick up trash from the road and think, is it eatable? Should I eat it or not? No, you just don't. You don't need to think about it. Low inhibition correlation, maybe? They might consider Philip as an incel now. Most incels seem high inhibition. I don't think I understand what this word means. Restraints. Yeah, okay. They are the ones who defame incel name. I'm sorry, what about me? I was working hard. Anyway, I will ban this word. No references to incel tears, please. Yeah. he got converted by the love of incels. Wait until the end of the article where I appear. I wanted to say, remember when I said I had tea about political leanings? So I think it was a different study, because the one I looked at wasn't big. Here it seems to be, it's done more. Anyway, this, in that study, everything was left except for human rights of other groups. LGBT, God, I hate this. Just queer community, women rights. Other than that, they are left-wing. It's, I think, interesting considering the left-wing philosophy is about softening the hierarchy that inevitably occurs in society. Yes, I do want to know a fun fact. But the Black Pill beliefs establish this hierarchy as inescapable and very important. I see it as, my guess is that most incels aren't really upset that there is, assuming in their ideology, this lower level of undesirables, but they are upset that they're in this level. This is my assumption. I do not yet have enough facts to back it up. It's a work in progress. Although I'm not straight, I really don't identify with the LGBT community. Yeah, I understand that, because okay, probably another time for this topic. Anyway, moving to the famous 80-20. I spoke with a user named Bright Spring. This one, I am 100% sure, he was one of the moderators of Psych or Psych, the incel one. An Indian man, 20 years old, studying English and living at home to care for his sick father, as he told me. Bright Spring is the name of one of his Reddit accounts. His previous ones were banned. He also moderated some sub-forums in the past, but those were banned as well. It wasn't easy to persuade him to give an interview, but eventually he agreed to talk to me. He wanted, he said, to set the record straight about what most incels think. Okay, this... Oh, hi, Winnie. Yeah, I'm guessing the energy at the conventions and parades are just too intense and ideological for you. No. Your guess is actually not really correct, Solo. It's a big topic. I know you're talking to Rami. Just he's anti-woke. And anyway, I am inserting myself in a conversation that is not about me. So, Bright Spring. I think Philip failed to mention that Reddit usernames, maybe he doesn't know, are auto-generated most of the times. So, it's not like he is Bright Spring minded. What he thinks. Dating apps have changed everything. An overwhelming majority of matches go to a small percentage of the most attractive men. Anyone who isn't good looking enough, too short, too dark, too autistic, doesn't stand a chance. This isn't an opinion, he said, it's facts. The entire incel worldview is based on data, statistics, brutal statistics. He only touched on his personal story in our conversation. He's a very sociable person, but he simply doesn't meet the minimum standards to even catch a woman's eye. At some point, he complained. It was a watered down conversation. He'd wanted more confrontational questions. So we arranged to meet again. I showed him his posts from a community he'd moderated. There, men were using derogatory terms for women, calling them voids, female humanoids. He said it was a vocal minority that I was speaking out for cases from thousands of posts. He'd overlooked these posts, otherwise he would have deleted them. He was strictly against dehumanizing women in posts. It didn't accomplish anything. Then I showed him a post he'd written himself. It said women were incapable of fidelity, and that the concept of romantic love was an invention of men who had humanized women just as some people humanize pets. He laughed nervously when I read it to him. He said he'd gender swapped the post. That is rewritten a misandrist post from a feminist subreddit. He couldn't show me the original. He said he was angry at the time about posts in which women had attacked white men, Indian men, neurodivergent men, and were celebrated for it. He wanted to get revenge. This dynamic dominates parts of Reddit. Some incel subreddits make their point by sharing screenshots of women ranting about men on TikTok or Instagram. Sites like Incel Tears thrive on sharing the most hateful comments from incel forums. I said to Bright Spring, "You're fueling this spiral, aren't you?" He said, "I try to avoid it, but sometimes I can't." All the incels I spoke to shared their experiences with dating apps. Digital rejection seemed to be an essential part of every incel's biography. One had only tried online dating for a week. I got one match, she didn't reply. I'm assuming she matched me by mistake. Another told me it had taken him years to get a match. You swipe for hours and nothing happens. Dating apps are a fantastic way to quickly start hating yourself. In 2015, an anonymous author analyzed the distribution of likes of dating apps in a blog post on medium.com. He described Tinder as if it were an economy of attractiveness. He concluded that the most attractive 20% of men received 80% of the likes from women, while the remaining 80% of men on Tinder received almost nothing. The article had a very limited data set, based on only 27 analyzed female profiles. However, reliable studies also demonstrate that attention on dating apps is highly unevenly distributed. According to a study by Queen Mary University of London, Likes on Tinder lead to a match 70 times more often for women than for men. An analysis of the dating app Hinge, which was later deleted from its blog, concluded that if the female Hinge were an economy, wealth would be distributed about as equally as in Western Europe. The male Hinge would rank among the top 10 most unequal countries in the world. In other words, for attractive men, dating apps are great. For average or unattractive men, they are deserts of love, places where nothing ever happens. The Medium post became famous as the 80-20 rule, made it into a Wikipedia article on inequality, and appeared in the Netflix incel drama Adolescence, the story of a high school student who becomes radicalized online and murders a classmate. Many incels believe in the 80-20 rule. They've built an entire worldview around it. Most women are attracted to only a few men, whom incels call chads. The less attractive men, the betas, can, with some luck, have lukewarm relationship without real passion. And unattractive, shy, neurodivergent men are doomed to a life as incels. There is no hope for them. And as is often the case with things that go viral on the internet, sometimes there is a kernel of truth. End of the chapter. Thoughts, opinions. First of all, I was surprised about 2015 because 2009 OkCupid study OK trends that I did a video on. This one is obviously much more original. No, you can refer to the real law. Please read the actual law. What I wanted to say, yeah. Your takeaway was that women rank more unequally, but that doesn't mean they won't message a lower tier guy. My takeaway was that they manipulated the information to basically get attention, which worked for them, but not in the ways they wanted it to work. I do not trust their data, but if we do trust their data, then yes, women will message guys they rank lower on the attractiveness scale. What's more important is, like, let's look at Bright Spring. It's so great that Philip got Bright Spring to talk about it. With East, who is also one of the ex-moderators of Psych. This is the same story. He would say, I don't hate women, I don't, view them as lower, so on and so forth. Then, when you show them what is happening on their subreddit, what they allow, they pretend that it wasn't their fault. They didn't notice. Like, he said it was a local minority, he'd overlooked this post, otherwise he would have deleted them. He was strictly against dehumanizing women in posts. It didn't accomplish anything. And then I showed him a post he'd written himself. So we get this, mask, this outer appearance. No, I didn't do it. I am not responsible here. I am actually, a nice guy. I would never disrespect women. Then you peel the skin of this fruit or vegetable and you discover that no, they think that. They just know it's not politically correct, not acceptable to say, so they don't say it. Like, with East, when initially my first one-on-one discussion with him, I was just asking him, remember when there are not enough of those of you who were present, but we were talking about how much of attraction is biological, and I decided that we need some kind of authority on it. We need someone who has knowledge in biology, psychology, sociology, and East said that he studies criminology. So I was like, whoa, a hardcore incel and studies psychology. This is very interesting. So I started talking to him about what he studied, and he's like, he says, I don't know what to tell you about what I studied. I asking him what fields, and he would name anything, but he said, actually, I am, nothing misogynistic. I am not a misogynist. And I show him a screenshot when there's a post in Psych where there's a male gamer playing and female gamer who is just promoting her OnlyFans, supposedly. Stacy promoting OnlyFans. And he was like, I just didn't notice, it's not my fault. And he's like, so what? Well, we have the right to say this. Imagine our hobby got taken by the normies who used to bully us at school. And I was like, what are you talking about? How's this related? This is the revenge. Where is it? Yeah. So the revenge at women. So they make outrageous posts about women, and they are validating and saying this in doing this because they saw outrageous posts from women online, but they do not even imagine the idea that the same outrageous posts for women were made with the same idea in mind. Themselves are just being provoking, and a lot of posts from incels are just being provoking for the sake of it. But also, when you are, so we're just trolling each other. So the problem, irony poisoning, right? You stop understanding what is real and what is a joke. Vroom vroom in my mom's car. Get out my car. Person falls for his own rage bait. Well, yeah, it's just like a circle jerk, but here there are two circles doing it in front of each other. But the problem is that when you live in the costume of this irony, you do not know when someone is not ironical. Let's talk our internet's favorite topic, Nazis. People start begin doing the Nazism stuff as teenagers to provoke, to rebel against the norm. But from rebellion and from irony, it turns into actual anti-Semitism. We saw this. Remember the body cam of an incel who got arrested, who was talking about genocide in women? Femicide at large scales? I don't know if Twitch can, censor this. I will speak the way, a weird way for it. But he was committing to it. And how do people know if you're joking or not if you never let people specify, if no one recognizes you're joking, no one can tell for sure if you're joking or not. Is it really a joke? No. There's this term, oh god, not from Schrodinger's joke, depending on who pokes in it, depending on the audience, it can be serious or just joke. Solo, I remember, talked about the Dave Chappelle's skit with fried chicken, You see, there's, I think, one moment that makes it clear if Dave Chappelle's intention there to mock black people or talk about his internal fight against stereotypes. And this is the moment at which this one second. As an aside, I always wondered why the fuck Russian Nazis are a thing. I found out that they were started as an edgy counterculture movement during the USSR to piss off the party during glasnost, but they fell for their own propaganda. Oh, this is a good tidbit of information. I actually did not know that. But yeah, you see, I grew up thinking that all teenage boys, or most of teenage boys, have a Nazi phase. Tell me, did you have a Nazi phase? Is my perception of the world, of the teenagehood, skewed? Like, yeah, they grew out of it, thankfully. But not everyone did, obviously. So, like, you need to understand when the costume starts merging with your skin, because this happens if you do not take it off. And if you say okay, I cannot explain it, so shall we move on with the article? This is a good part. Men as office staplers. Researcher Andrew Thomas told me about the matching hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, when it comes to long-term relationships, men and women primarily seek partners who are similar to themselves, similarly attractive, similarly intelligent, and with a similar sense of humor. Attractive long-term partners are friendly, potentially good parents, and financially stable. Both men and women are looking for the same things. However, the situation is different when it comes to casual sex. Thomas said women become more selective and men more easily satisfied. With one-night stands, the qualities that are important in long-term partners become less relevant. It's not so important how nice someone is, and it doesn't matter at all whether they would be a good father. What counts is how attractive someone is. Women, on average, not only have less desire for casual sex than men, but casual sex is also less non-committal and more dangerous for them. They can become pregnant. Women are generally weaker than men and therefore always more vulnerable. They can contract sexually transmitted infections, which are far more likely to cause infertility in women than men. Angie Thomas told me, because casual sex involves more risks. The thinking is, if I'm going to take that risk, then it will only be with someone who is exceptionally attractive. With men, the exact opposite happens. They lower their standards because, on average, they are more interested in one-night stands than women. They are willing to sleep with women they wouldn't marry. The 80-20 rule has a grain of truth, said Andrew Thomas. But the mistake incels make is to extrapolate from a short-term strategy for one-night stands to the supposedly unchangeable psyche of all women. And in doing so, they ignore the millions of women who didn't meet their partners through apps, who were friends with their future partners first, who met their partners through a shared social circle where you see each other regularly, and the first impression can change. Because that too is an important finding in psychology. Attractiveness isn't static. When you spend more time together, you often find each other more attractive. Dating apps complicate everything even further. Despite all the marketing, dating apps are apps for casual sex because they are based on first impressions. Women receive so much attention from men that they have to filter them radically. Andrew Thomas suggests that this isn't a moral judgment, not a matter of taste, but rather a strategy for coping with an overabundance of options. Andrew Thomas worked as a psychotherapist. He has incels as patients. Sometimes he conducts an experiment with such a patient. He asks them to choose an office stapler on Amazon and describe their process step by step. Okay, says the patient, there are 10,000 offers, so they filter only 4-star or 5-star staplers, not too expensive, with at least 200 staplers only in red. And then I say to them, you picky bastard, you fussy asshole, what the hell is wrong with blue staplers? How can someone be as narcissistic as you and have such high standards? TikTok isn't available in Russian, so I don't know what there is. Okay, end of the chapter. Did you know that Russian sector of TikTok is confined and frozen? So you can watch TikTok, use TikTok in Russia. You cannot post new videos since 2022. You can only look at Russian videos, no new videos. It's a containment zone. Pins and needles in my foot. Oh my god. No. My grandma once suggested I use like a needle to poke it. That then it will stop. I've never tried it. I don't usually have needles. I had when I struggle to walk. You sit with your feet under you? Yes. Under me, above me, to the side of me. There's a meme with how frog pose half a frog actually right now. My dad used to sit this way and I just copied him naturally. He stopped sitting this way. I did not. I am now, I think, the only one in my family who sits this This way all the time. But my sister used to do the same. So, your thoughts on this part, and not on how I'm sitting. And while you're doing so, I don't know, did he ask his patient to specifically look for red staplers? Obviously not. They say how they choose. He just said look for staplers. Second, I will get my chocolate banana strawberry coffee milkshake. It's amazing. Also, they pay Amazon to improve the positions of products, yeah? I worked with a marketplace, so I can tell you. You know, if I would look for a stapler, what I would do is sort from least expensive to most expensive, and then just look with least expensive, because the same shit will cost twice as more just because they paid to get, and to stay in the first place. Marketplaces, as a seller, is pay to win. So my boss I won't say what business he had, but he bought his product. He was selling the same product as his competition. Anyway, he bought the competitor. They were getting their product from the same factory in China, obviously. So the competitor's product was the same but different color. And my boss marketed as a limited version of this product. Literally the same thing, just leftovers from the old from the competitor and sold product, and he did a 50% markup. Yeah, he is a self-made millionaire. Russian millions, rubles. This is how they are. This is not, by far, not the worst thing that he did. I always appreciate a good solo comment. I understand his point, but I have the reservation that are always pathways. That there are enough pathways in current society for long-term co-ed socialization. I feel like a lot of the time women afford to be too selective, and for good reasons, as he mentioned, high risk of dating. And then once they get older, they expect a more seasoned and economically adjusted man. Relying on dating apps can just create a permanent imbalance and inefficiency in the gender dynamic, in my opinion, for healthy people to have healthy relationships. And the stepler therapy method doesn't seem effective to me. I think it kind of misses the bigger picture. I think a lot of incels agree on selectivity increasing through dating apps. The therapy exercise kind of assumes they dump in women for the behavior instead of blaming the bigger system. Nonetheless, it is a question of whether the individual woman does both hookups and relationships, at least according to Andrea and also some women on the debate sub. It's an either or thing with those who serially want hookups versus relationships. The first paragraph reminded me of dual mating hypothesis from Red Pill. It's not a dual mating hypothesis. The studies show that people the studies show that people get together with people of similar status. So I think you misjudged the exercise a little bit. The point is that the filters are excessive and unnecessary. Like, it's just to filter out rather than to actually get a necessary, a needed, desired outcome. Like, I've been reading, watching, I don't remember the sources, but so the jobs, high-paying jobs, entrance jobs, used to require education, higher education, right, to enter specific fields. And like trade jobs did not require it. Now that more people have higher education, the jobs that had just education as a requirement have to come up with more superficial filters, and jobs that don't actually need education start adding education as a requirement just because of the abundance of options. I think, the question of your type, like, I say can have a perfect image in my head of who I want, and say I wouldn't want, I don't know, hairy arms with dark hair, excessive hair, but or facial hair. I dislike facial hair, but the thing is, people do not fall in love with their type. The type is like a mathematical model versus real world. It's like engineers in a joke rounding up pi to just 3. Like, what you have in your head will not translate to reality in any way. And in theory, you can't even actually fully understand what you like or what decisions you will make. Okay. Yeah, I get that the wall, and I'm not saying it's a natural behavior, but perhaps a socially induced one. I agree. And where I disagree with Red Pill is how they want to solve it. And I'm not saying it's the norm, just a common thing. Like, I feel that individually this thing isn't relevant with women who don't do hookups. So as a theory, it has more weight when it's the same woman. I disagree. Yeah, every individual is different. Yes, I understand the virtue of compromise, but I'm worried social and economic conditions may prevent from occurring reliably. The real problem with compromise is a possible feeling of retribution for not getting the ideal. Yeah. Alright guys, I gotta go shower and show my family that I'm still alive. If BC is still going, I will hop back in. Okay. Good luck. Don't sleep and fall in the shower. Anyway, I think incels, black pillars are like Disney adults who want perfect love at first sight. The idea of changing attraction, that is very, very important, does not exist in black pill. People, they say that you need to at least get, your foot in the door. But just existing there is already getting a foot in the door. Maybe a lot of incels fetishize love and romance. I just don't agree that most of or all of them do. I feel like we do not have enough data, but a lot of them are very, very vocal about, indeed, fetishizing love and romance. Remember this guy who was like, I am ugly, and is in fact handsome. And everyone tells him he's handsome. The problem is that a lot of them believe, these special individuals who I encountered, they are so certain, so convinced that having a girlfriend will somehow solve all their problems. And this is exactly because they do not want to have a girlfriend as a partner. They want a body pillow that has an artificial intelligence, and that will trick them into thinking it's real. I've been thinking about it since on debating incels. There was this question about what would ideal relationship or ideal partner for you be like? And so many of them said that they can't even imagine that it's like a poor person who's never had money can't imagine what being rich is like. I remember this because I was like, what? No, everyone can imagine that. What, are you stupid? Anyway, this is not, I believe this is not a reflection of them not being able to imagine that, because it's easy, let's be honest. It's that they are not ready to confront the fact that they do not want a partner, they want a fantasy. Yes, I can see how the potential comfort of a woman seems more important than overall stability, life stability to incels, because they tend to be more alienated and pessimistic about the world yielding any goodness or benefit, because they view the world from a very objective lens and downplaying the potential of voluntarily empathy. I will objective lens. This is not objective. This is skewed. This picture being overly negative is also delusional. People mistake cynicism and pessimism for being objective and reasonable. They are not the same. Sometimes the smart thing is being optimistic. Oh, we got first stone leveled up. So, any last words before the next chapter? This milkshake is so good. If I could, I would live off milkshakes. Someone left? Just now? Or am I insane? No. I guess I meant objective in the sense that many don't think voluntarily compromise in a potential relationship can exist. Oh, he's 5'5", but she's only dating him because of other objective reasons we don't know about. Yeah, right, so the ideal fantasy of romance in Black Pill. It's not enough that a woman must fall in love with a man at first sight. It is also that the man should be perfect, or it is fake. There can only be love if the man is perfect. Or at least if he meets a certain criteria. But back in my fighting days in psych, there was a video of a woman on TikTok where she said like, so these are the guys in my dating roster. The first one is smart and sweet, and he will be a lawyer, and I like him. And the other, she I think hasn't gone on a date with yet, is tall and good looking, but he's kind of a slut. And they started talking about how she hates both of them, and she would prefer the tall, attractive guy because she doesn't like the first one. And I'm like, she literally said, I like him. He's smart. And they say, well, she is with him for money. I'm like, what money? He is a student in a law school. And they're like, well, he'll be a lawyer and he'll be rich, and that's why she wants him. Like, what kind of fantasy is that? Where's our Occam razor? Am I getting too far away? Anyway, it's just something I recently came up with. This, you see, this particular thread fucking killed me because as they were talking, women don't like nerdy guys, women only like this and that, so she cannot possibly like the smart guy that she said she likes. I'm like, what? Oh, and that because she called the other guy a slut, that means she despises him. Oh, it's like the admin, I forgot who's the woman, female admin moderator in the debate incels. Pocket Cat, yeah. She called them little fuckers, and they got actually upset. What? How do you take it to heart? Yeah, the point is that they don't interact with information judging by what they can be. They have preconceived notion. This must be negative. The negativity is not something to prove or disprove. This is the, what's the word? Axioma in Russian. This is a dogma. I feel like most incels have a sense of antagonism and norms due to past trauma experiences. Axiom, yeah. I've talked about this recently too. So incels have like the ones that are active and kind of malicious, you know, the most hostile and antagonistic incels on your side. They exist within a very tribal mindset. Oh, and you know, people like also the absolutely disgusting subreddit wizard cell, new one. Then also what was it? Incels, like they will see the most normal statement, and they will, downvote it, for example, because it is a statement not that they disagree with, but this is a statement from side they perceive as negative. So there is a strong group identity. A group identity gets stronger when it is under attack. I noticed it, like when Russia attacked Ukraine. The thing that will never leave my mind and I will never stop talking about. Ukrainians, Belarusians, Belarusians, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Belarusians probably, and even people from Kazakhstan started writing in their languages rather than Russian. Note how it's not just Ukraine, it's also Kazakhstan, which is a friendly nation, but there is a sense of a possible attack on the group. So yeah, they have this view of in-group and outsider, other. It's called othering, and this can make people even dehumanize others, those who are perceived not like us. Anyway, so there are those who are like us and those who are not, and they are enemies. It's like when a cat will see someone or something as an enemy, as an aggressor, it doesn't matter if it's just a TV. If there's no danger at all, they will keep thinking of it as a danger. I'm going so far off. We will never reach the beautiful moment. I'll try to do 2 at once, or maybe even more. Digital scratching. The incels were scarce. One username fuck it all, guys, you probably remember it, him, responded to my message, go fuck yourself. Another told me to go fuck myself and get a real job, to a journalist. One posted a photo of me and called me a soy boy, a man who had become effeminate through excessive consumption of soy products. My experience was a bit like that of an average-looking man on dating apps. I sent a lot of messages, got few replies, and in the end, it only led to one meeting with Sprinkles. I had high expectations, and then I see him standing in front of the gate of a park in Vienna and think again, is that what an incel looks like? He had turned off his camera during the video interview. He's waiting in front of the gate, wearing a shirt and sneakers, well dressed, a little grungy, a bit hipster. He has a narrow chin, he's wearing designer glasses. He seems friendly. We walk through the park and he tells me his story. He says he was a shy child, a teenager with nerdy hobbies. He didn't fit in at school. He moved from the countryside to the big city to study, and even there he struggled. He had time, lots of time. Time he spent online. That, he describes, was the height of his inceldom. He spent his days on the R9K board of 4chan. 4chan is an internet forum where anonymous users upload pictures, images, and texts. It has become one of the most culturally influential places on the internet. A popular form of expression here is green texts, short stories about failing in social situations, full of sarcasm and self-deprecation. The atmosphere is extremely negative, but something drew him there, says Sprixels. That kind of negativity can be addictive. One of R9K mottos is, "You are here forever." When you are a young student and you read the posts from men in their 30s who say things just aren't getting any better, says Sprixels, you think, shit, that could be me. He almost felt a thrill and excitement at how hopeless everything seemed. Is that something like digital self-harm? I asked him. You could say that. During this time, he saw a therapist a few times, but she didn't really help him. In retrospect, he was probably severely depressed at that time. But that's all behind him now. He's 29 and works for a large company. He hardly ever visits incel communities anymore. At some point, he got tired of the same old complaints. He says it just gets annoying after a while. He doesn't have time for that sort of thing anymore. He only visits the forums very rarely, out of sentimentality. He could never relate to the hate. He lives in a small apartment in one of those well-maintained old Viennese buildings. Its centerpiece is a large eat-in kitchen. A record player stands against the wall, and a cabinet houses his collection of old game consoles. 2 monitors sit on a wall-sized desk. He can become engrossed in details. He taught himself Japanese to better understand anime comics. Okay. He also says he has autistic tendencies. Sometimes our conversation seems to strain him. Then he rocks his legs, touches his hair while speaking, and strokes his eyebrows. He never holds my gaze for long. He yawns frequently. Hope can hurt. He has lived in his apartment for 10 years. He can no longer imagine living with anyone. Being alone means he doesn't have to consider anyone else. For example, he can cook at night if he wants. Freedom, it seems, represents a great value in his life, but perhaps it's also a shield. Sometimes when colleagues ask him if there's someone in his life, he says things that sound good in Austrian dialect, like, "not really at the moment," or, "you know how it is." They are face-saving phrases that always hint at something having happened, or something that might happen. I meet him 3 times in the evenings after work. He's stressed and tired. There are problems at his job. He has to work overtime. I see him rushing through his life, which, like many of us, he fills primarily with work. In the evenings, he quickly does some shopping and cooks and eats. And if he has any time left, he plays computer games, reads, or tends to his Pokemon card collection. Then he goes to bed. He'll be 30 soon. If things continue as they are, that's fine, he says. He's realized that life consists of more than missed relationships. He has his hobbies, he can travel, he earns money, and he doesn't have to worry. He doesn't currently feel the need to date. But sometimes a glimpse shines through. A life as it could have been. 8 years ago, he kissed a woman. It was the first and, so far, only kiss of his life. She was a little shorter than him, he says, dark hair, and nose piercing, wearing a cardigan over a striped dress. They didn't know each other. They struck up a conversation because she found it unusual that he was drinking a gin and tonic. She leaned against him. He was drunk, outside, he thought. Then he kissed her. "We done?" "Yeah, like you do the first time. Not so elegant." He'd imagined his first kiss to be more romantic, not drunk in a club. "But it was nice," he says. "It was great." He went home without asking for her number, happy and relieved to have reached this milestone. So, 8 years ago, 21. What did I miss? What did I miss? Virginia, my home sweet home, I'm gonna give you a kiss. So, wait a second. Yeah, we don't have much information left. We will manage it. The next chapter is my favorite. I really loved it when I read it. Any comments, guys? You know, a woman came up to him and initiated a kiss. So if it was about first impression, he got his foot in the door. Also, I didn't hear about it from him. I read about it in the article, and I was like kind of giddy. It was very cute. I think it was much cooler as reading it in the way, a writer would deliver it. It felt kind of created some tension. Just feels like a socially anxious guy, probably Wall. He seems like he has decent money and appearance and just had to expand his horizons a bit. I have a harder time relating to European incels. Why? What's the difference between European and American incels then? Probably Wall. I think, I really wanted, he was the first incel I really strongly interacted with. I hunted him down. I've seen some of his replies, and I was like, I need to figure this person out. Usually a more stable welfare state, more cultural homogeneity, more desirable genotypes on average. He's like, if the baseline is higher, it still means you need to go higher than the baseline, kind of. Anyway, he does not commit to himself, I think. And at this point, he is scared of rejection. I want more people to know him because I know him well. He is a very cool person, and I genuinely think that people who will get to know him better will be happy to know him. I think I know Fish quite well by now. I also think that people who get to know him are, lucky. Like, if enough people experienced enough of how he's like to both of them, I can tell there would be someone I think madly in love with them. I mean, this is one of the reasons I started doing it. I see cool guys. Last night found out he's an amateur psychologist. Who? Fish? Oh yeah, we talked about it. He had 3 hours with you, and then we got a touchdown together for an hour and a half. You see? Cool guys. Like, if not enough people get to learn how you are as a person. He told me I had ADHD. I don't agree with him. Fish, hopefully your experience felt more agreeable. Interesting. Winnie, you missed me glazing my incel friend who is the main character in this article. I mean, again, he is amazing. I want him to be happy. Like, part of it is me betting on, his happiness, putting efforts and cashing out. This is my gambling, trying to, see a person succeed and help them do it. But I really think that, getting to know some people more, this would just make some people very happy. And I like when people are happy. Anyway, moving on. Grab bucket, my favorite part. Yeah, and I also, last part, I don't think he is ready to commit to dating, and I understand that it's scary when it's such a negative experience. So he's doing everything to avoid going on dating apps again. I poke him once every 2 weeks. Should you try? Do you think of trying? But it is what it is. I hope he develops more casual, at least, friendships, and then maybe through them get to know more people, and then there will be someone. Okay, so the crab bucket. I realized that this is a very important part. Please pay attention. I realized that engaging with incels and the black pill was stirring something inside me. I started checking out the faces of my male colleagues at the office. Who had the most prominent jaw? Who had the most predatory eyes? Eventually, I uploaded a photo of my face to a website that calculates the ratio of facial width to length. Mine is 9.7. My face is too long, like a horse's. I reduced men to their physical appearance. As Hamoudi, one of the most famous incel YouTubers, once said, I don't see people anymore, I only see genetics. For me, there are no people anymore, only genetics. I assume it was said in English and then German. When you focus on the incel version of attractiveness, you inevitably develop an inferiority complex. You compare yourself to others and become smaller and smaller. There's a debate going on within the scene. Who is a real incel? Who belongs? Is someone screwed enough to qualify? Several people I've spoken to have told me that they might not be real incels because, for example, they've been on dates, because they don't have an autism diagnosis, because, God forbid, they've kissed a woman. On forums, men accuse each other of being fake selves or near selves. Only those who have truly tried everything and still haven't succeeded are considered true incels, a subhuman, an inferior being. Alongside those social Darwinist metaphors, there's also surprisingly woke vocabulary among incels. Feminists are accused of gaslighting lonely men, of convincing them they are to blame for their own loneliness. There's talk of privileges, of female privilege, of sexually privileged men. Lonely women who also want to belong are accused of cultural appropriation. My culture is not your costume. I even discovered an inceldom pride flag, many shades of black and grey. Online, boys who had been at the very bottom of their class's social hierarchy come together. And what do? The same thing groups always do. They create a status pyramid, except they turn it upside down, and they crown the king of losers. And they protect this inverted hierarchy. There are recurrent stories of incels who develop hope or a fragile sense of self-confidence only to be kicked out of the forums. There's a name for this phenomenon, the crab bucket. If you throw live crabs into a bucket, they start climbing the sides. They climb on top of each other. In their attempts to climb, the crabs at the bottom pull the ones at the top down. This is exactly what happens in incel forums. Those who have hope are laughed at. Those who develop a strategy are insulted, and those who make progress are banned. Incel culture is growing. Its driving force is hopelessness. I once spoke with an incel who embodied this perfectly. He's from northern Germany, and his Reddit username is Remarkable Box. It was a pleasure talking to him. He wasn't ideological at all. He didn't cite any studies. He talked about his boys' crew, his sisters, university sports, and loving parents. I made a note. Happy incel? Then he said that if you put 1,000 men in a room and he was next to them, he would certainly be the least attractive one in that room. Remarkable, 23, said he hadn't talked to his parents or friends about his love life for a long time. They would only try to reassure him, telling him that he'd find someone, that he was attractive enough, and that, he said, hurt him. Hurt? Remarkable wrestled with himself a bit. If someone encouraged him, it would have the opposite effect. He mightn't get his hopes up, and that in turn would mean potentially trying again and having more bad experiences. Surely there was value in being certain about what the future held. He chose a comparison. The silver medalist always looks sadder in photos than the bronze one, right? I'm the bronze medalist, and I've come to terms with the fact that this is my life. By my life, he meant his friends, his sport, his good relationship with his family, and the fact that he would never find a girlfriend. If I were to start believing now that I could actually win a gold medal and fail in attempt, then I'd be the one with the silver medal. Then I'd be even more unhappy that I am now. So he'd rather not try. He'd keep his bronze medal. Remarkable has traded hope for security. That's the promise of the black pill. It offers protection. If you don't try, you can't fail. The incel researcher Andrew Thomas told me that incels share a psychological predisposition. They possess something psychologists call an external locus of control. The idea that what happens to you in life doesn't depend on you, but only on external forces, on unchanging forces, your own ugly bone structure, the impossible to meet standards of modern dating culture. That's why incels amass mountains of studies. That's why incels have even created their own Wikipedia. And within it, they've written an article on the scientific black pill that's almost 300 densely written pages long when copied into a Word document. All this effort just to prove they will fail no matter what they do. The black pill is not really a correction of statistics. It is not a science, not even ideology. It is the belief that home is the safest place. It is a depression disguised as a worldview. This is why I feel many don't really want to live. Once you ascend, you lose the only people you came to call your friends. Yeah, Little Bird told me about a situation that was happening, and I was dumbfounded. Honestly tragic. I don't understand. What is it about, Solo? Someone who called himself an incel and a woman online fell in love with him, and he didn't want to follow through because he didn't want to lose his incel friend. Oh. And also, hello from YouTube. Hello to you too. Also, remember this post that I will now never forget, because it is the best proof of what I've been telling. The guy is like, this woman, almost, sorry, this girl was in love with me, she was giving me gifts and such, but she still left me. I knew that would happen. He rejected her. She saw that her love was unrecruited and required. What's that? Not mutual feeling. Unreciprocated. So she stopped humiliating herself, trying, and left. And he's like, I knew this would happen. You made it happen. This is self-fulfilling prophecy we all talk about all the time. Someone, if you can play the game past the controller. I noticed that there's a lot of problems when people try to create a solid theory in their mind, because when they get focused on this theory, they start ignoring the outer world, and then there comes confirmation bias and bending reality and reinterpreting reality to fit your theory. And this is where we get obsession with dead bedrooms. And yes, she's dating him and she is giving him compliments online, but does she really love him? Trauma. Okay, do you want to comment anything, or should we move to the final chapter? Do you hear me still? Am I alone with myself? Yes? If it was in Russian, I could respond with you're alone. I could respond with "Kant." Da, pizda. Here's your cultural education. No one's gonna hear this besides you, Remy, I think. Okay, intelligent, empathetic, and cute. The final chapter. In Vienna, during my visit to Sprinkles, I got in touch with a Russian woman on Reddit. She goes by the name Pristine Cost. A few months ago, she had immersed herself in the incel scene because she was interested in this strange and happy man living in the privileged West. Incels were a mystery to her. How could intelligent men believe such things? She had noticed Sprinkle's clever and empathetic posts. She wrote to him. The two chatted. They became friends. I wanted to talk to her about him, so we chatted on Discord. She said she really liked Sprinkles. He had many good qualities. His biggest problem, she said, was that he was emotionally closed off. He doesn't show anyone how great he is. It was difficult to break out of that pattern. He needed a helping hand, a push. During the conversation, it became clear that she saw herself as his pusher. She had encouraged him to buy new clothes. She had nurtured the idea of him starting a PhD. Self-confidence doesn't come from thoughts, but from experiences. From leaving your room and doing things that are scary and wonderful. From achieving things where you can also fail and realizing how much stronger and more attractive you are than you thought. My role-playing friends and I, we too had once been crabs in a bucket. We tried for a long time to get out of the bucket. We started a band and I became the bassist because anyone can play bass. A friend taught me to play guitar and told me I had a nice voice. Some weekends we no longer played role-playing games, but guitar. We sometimes sat around campfires in the evenings, in large groups that weren't all boys. I went on vacation with one of my friends. There we met two women who were almost 30 and said they were fed up with men. The hotel was otherwise full of retirees, and we had brought our guitars, so we provided their evening entertainment. And after a very drunken guitar night, we, as old men in our early 20s, both lost our virginity, as if we had made a pact to stage the whole thing in the style of a high school comedy. We had climbed out of the grab bucket, and we had passed our clothes to each other. After my conversation with Pristine, I met Sprinkles one last time. I told him that Pristine thought he was intelligent, empathetic, and kind. She also said you're cute. Okay, he said, laughing shyly. And that it's crazy that no woman has snagged you yet. Okay, he said again. A full-length mirror had recently appeared in his living room. Pristine told him he should work on his style. Was this perhaps a cautious step back into dating? Probably, he said. Maybe, he said. We'll see, he said. He had to sort out some problems at work first. Of course, Pristine had said one could be happy in life without romantic love, but with Sprinkles, she said it was only a matter of time before he found a woman. It's simply inevitable with him, she said. Let's keep our fingers crossed for him. Wait, you play bass? No, this is what I was reading the article. What? How did you miss? I don't play any instruments. I can clap. No, he was talking about himself, about his story about losing virginity at 21 with his friend, two women who were complaining about how tired they were of men. So, we are finished. What are your thoughts? After my grand appearance in the finale. I missed a chunk of the whole article, so I can't say other than I think it's pleasantly quite balanced. I agree. It at least doesn't feel like a hit piece. I'm not sure what the title is, but it doesn't seem clickbaity. Rather professional. The whole of Germany will read this. They better subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can get money. and get out of here. And then you need to learn German. Ich spreche Deutsch. Ich sprechen Sie Deutsch? I don't know. I studied German for 10 years. I just don't remember anything. If we are still talking by the time your birthday comes, maybe I might send you a present. Here. Just 4 months left. I'm a Virgo. Last summer's child. Okay, I will be going to sleep soon. Fish was just in the aquarium the whole time. I think he didn't even hear me giving him compliments. I am not going yet. We need to make the conclusion, our final thoughts. Thoughts and players. We can actually look at the comments. Unfortunately, they are the classic ones. Here, this is a good one. My very long comment on this has now disappeared. I'd like to add that the factors of bullying and depression are truly crucial. Many incels, both male and female, learned in their childhood and adolescence that mistrust is indeed appropriate in relationships. Bullying does this to people. Therefore, they fundamentally distrust others, have a negative view of humanity, and a negative self-image. This is based on learned experience, and incel culture often offers, so to speak, a coping strategy, a way out to regain a certain degree of dignity and self-confidence. Naturally, this leads to mutual aggression. The fundamental mistrust also leads many to avoid relationships or sex, even if the opportunity arose, because they suspect the other person of having ulterior motives. When things have already progressed so far, I often don't know exactly what would help. The damage is often already done, but as a preventive measure, I see many anti-bullying initiatives. Training for teachers and educators, for example. Anti-bullying seminars led by experts in every class at least once a year, starting in elementary school. Many more school social workers and school psychologists. I believe the impact of bullying on people, especially during the formative years of their personality development, is still underestimated. Katyushka, by the way. I guess good thing I can't understand comments in German, funnily enough, like rehab room. A lot of big incel tubers were from Germany. Yeah, even to this day, when people are friendly to me, I'm always expecting to get punked. Yeah, we know. Don't worry. Obviously, it takes time. Like, I am still learning a lot of things. Even basic ones. 1 second, I want to post this comment. Yeah. Success. Just this comment. Oh, Katyushka said something else. I'm surprised that this phenomenon is always attributed solely to men. I have two good female friends, both attractive, rather average, intelligent, but very nerdy. Both are now in their early 30s. One is still a virgin, and both have never been in a relationship, even though they desperately want one. One of them just finished a marathon of dating sites like Parship without success. The other recently said to me, I could probably have drunken fling with a guy who sees me as a leftover. But how sad would that be? Very attractive and self-confident people are successful with the opposite sex. Others a little, others not at all. This applies to both genders. Men also look at appearance and the right way to behave. There's a beautiful African proverb, if you're ugly, you have to know a song. A lot of this is really just not being able to deal with negative experiences and the falling back and pushing back into hopelessness is also a fear of negative experiences. Avoiding conflict is fear of negative experiences. We gotta get used to failing. A failure is not a problem. It's just a proof of trying. I mean, I looked at the comments and I saw a lot of generic ones, so I don't want to pay attention to those. Someone far back in the comments mentioned me, so we are gonna read one singular comment about me that is one sentence long. Oh, or maybe there's more? No, it's in the article. I like Pristine. Seems like a good person. Something we should all be more often, but aren't always. That's it. This is all that is said about me. But it's a good At least I didn't call you a pick-me. Oh, by the way, I was called a pick-me by the subreddit from which I asked to delete East's images. In the face, and then this, no, not insulters. I don't want to name the subreddit. The girl that doxed, or still doxes, I don't know, East, decided that I am his girlfriend. I told her that if it would be happening to her, I would also help her, and she's like, no. Girl, I've done this so many times. She made a post on debate incels, probably. What did she say? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen her on debate incels. I don't know, she is kind of the same, bitter and lonely. Like, to the point, this is something that often happens with incels too. Like, they don't, well, Rami said it, don't believe kindness. And like, kindness is somewhat transactional. So that to help other people, you need to be sexually or romantically involved with them. Like this guy who is Fish's stalker. I left a comment in defense, like a really short comment, by the way, defending Fish. Then I decided, I'll probably delete it. Deleted it. This bitch found me. Started saying that I am his dick rider. Like, thanks. If I... Yeah. But listen, I'm the original dick rider. Rami, I think, is like in Fish's concubine squad. Rami must be the main wife. Yes, the head of the harem. No. You and Andrea are dating Fish. As am I. Where is this thing? Yeah, I think it's the post where I was told I have a fetish. This is in Russian. No, not this one. Okay. I still can't believe I raised her up over my leather jacket. What do you mean? О! Первый раз увидела. Fucking hell. You're writing some bullshit here. Go to the doctor with your head. She likes leather and I have a jacket, so I mentioned it. Starkey was the third wheel in that. I didn't know she liked older men. Okay, so not here. Here, probably. Yes, I found it. Still crying about incels. Based on your post history, it's what you do 24/7. Looks like someone is lusting over incel cock. Shouldn't you be celebrating that thought instead? Another unfiltered chill. Crazy how many chicks be simping for this incel. Oh, what's your beef with him, by the way? Another unfiltered stan. I mean, I guess you weren't really promoted to girlfriend yet. I think you should suck the dick harder. By the way, we got an incel talking about how it's tied to masculinity and exists within manosphere. Do you want to read this about this guy's obsession with Anfi? Or should we go? I go to sleep. Copy too. Weenie probably soon. Alright, good night. Okay. I see you're tired of me. Good night, guys. Have a good day, Rami.